Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Lifeline for Daily Living. Yes, this is the place where you can find the answers to your mental health, relationship, and family questions. I'm your host, Jim Hewitt. Glad you've tuned in today. I think you're going to find today's topic very interesting, so I hope you'll stay tuned because we'll be right back. All right. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Lifeline for Daily Living. So glad that you have joined me again today. I want to talk to you about something that I think every couple needs to know, whether you're boyfriend, girlfriend, whether you're engaged, maybe planning on getting married in the spring or in the summer. Maybe you're thinking about getting engaged, but you're not really sure about it. You're kind of weighing it all out. I want to talk to you today about laying a foundation for a healthy relationship. What in the world does that mean, a healthy relationship? I see couples every single week that struggle with this issue. Some of them have been married a couple of years, some of them have been married 5 years, 10 years, some 20, some 25 plus years, and they're struggling with this whole thing of marriage, relationship, and what really it is. Maybe you're someone who you're not married yet. Maybe you're just you're thinking about it, you're hoping for it, you're wishing for it. You haven't met that right someone. Well, this podcast is for you. This is for you. I want to talk to you about building a foundation for a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship. Every great building begins with a firm foundation. It's often said, particularly in the building trade, the stronger the foundation, the stronger the structure. The stronger the foundation, the stronger the structure. So without a strong foundation, the building is going to be faulty in some way. It may look great, it may look wonderful, it may look really, really sturdy on the outside, but it's just waiting for some. As long as the sun's shining and everything's nice and there's no wind blowing, that's okay. But when the hard time comes, when the wind blows and storms come and the rains come, that's when you're going to find out about your foundation. A sure foundation is needed for every single marriage. Now, how long does it take to make a good foundation? How long does it take to solidify a good, solid foundation before you start building a structure? Well, that depends upon you. That depends upon you and that someone. There's no certain time limit. Is it a year? Is it 2 years? It just varies with individuals. I think it'll help your relationship, though, in the long run, if you don't rush into it, that you don't rush from dating to maybe some of you living together to getting married. No, it's not like, well, we're going to go out for a couple of weeks. We really like each other. We love each other. Boom, we're going to move in with each other. Boom, we're going to get married, or we're going to date for a couple of months, get engaged, and plan the wedding. We get so excited about planning the wedding that we forget about the foundation. So here's what I want to encourage you today. If you're in that bracket, if you're planning on getting married, if you're engaged already, and you're working toward those wedding plans, I want you to stop for a minute. Just stop with all the craziness. Stop with all of the fantasizing about what the honeymoon's going to be like and where you're going to go, what the wedding cake's going to look like, the church that you're going to have the wedding in, all the decorations, all that stuff. Just, stop. Stop for just a moment. And I want you to think with me about the foundation of your relationship. Now, what often happens is this is the very last thing that people think about. They don't think about setting that foundation. And so there's when people come in to see me and I start talking to them about, or they start talking to me about the problems in their marriage, problems in their relationship, it always goes, I found over the years, it always goes back to this principle. Setting a firm foundation. It's just a great principle. Set a firm foundation before you start building the building. And once you do that, then the building is going to be much stronger. So I want to dive in today and talk about 6, let me call them elements, or 6 ingredients. 6 ingredients to a healthy marriage, setting a firm foundation for a healthy marriage or a healthy relationship. Number 1, and I think this is kind of obvious, and that is, think about the 2 individuals that are making up this relationship. Marriage is the one place where the math equation 1 + 1 is, no, a half and a half doesn't equal a whole. Okay, marriage is the one place where a half plus a half does not equal a whole. Because see, if I bring half of me and you bring half of you, we still have a half. Okay, it just doesn't work. It may work that way with a math equation, but it doesn't work that way in relationships. And so it's imperative in a marriage that each of you get the support that you need, and you help the other one to reach their potential. So I have to be a whole, you have to be a whole, and when we think about our marriage, then it's a whole. If I come into this marriage, or I come into this relationship with a need deficit, whatever that need deficit might be, then what happens, I need more of you than what you can give. And so I need more of you, and I don't have anything to give to you. See how that, it starts messing things up. So we need 2 whole individuals in a marriage relationship. That's the first part of this foundation. See, insecurities and other kind of baggage that you bring in will take its toll over a period of time. It may not be for the first year, it may not be for the second year or the third year or the 5th year, but eventually that deficit, those insecurities, that old baggage that you bring into this relationship, into this marriage, it will start affecting the marriage. I see this with where there's been a divorce and a remarriage. Okay, so I'm getting married for the second time, and so there's old things. I got divorced for a reason. So there's this old baggage that I carry with me into this new marriage, and it just really disrupts things. I've been hurt in the past marriage. Maybe I was cheated on in the past marriage. My trust was broken, and I bring that into this marriage, and it really causes problems. It may be stuff from what we refer to as your family of origin, where you grew up, that old stuff that's back there, the old messages that are back there, that dysfunction that is there, you bring that into, so you need a whole individual plus a whole individual equals a whole marriage. I want to say that again just to emphasize it. A whole person here, a whole person here equals a whole relationship. Okay? So think about that now. If you have a need deficit, listen, talk to somebody, work through it. Don't hide it. The worst thing you can do is hide it. It's not going to help anybody if you do that. Okay? So we need 2 whole individuals in this relationship. Number 2 in this foundation is we need to understand what love is. What love is. As unromantic as this may sound, love is truly a decision that I make. And it's not a decision that I make on the wedding day. I should have made this decision a long time ago, right? A long time ago. I decide to love you. Now, when we get to the wedding day, we are promising to love the other person above all others. Okay? But as unromantic as it may sound, love is truly a decision. So each person in the marriage relationship, each person in the relationship must make their own decision about loving the other one. I'm not coerced into it. I'm not manipulated into it. I'm not leading with my feelings. Love isn't just a feeling, because feelings, if you think about it, feelings are fickle. I feel different today than I did yesterday. I'll feel different tomorrow than I do today. Okay, sometimes I ask couples or individuals humorously. I ask them, what's the difference between love and indigestion? Think about that for a second. What's the difference between love and it's not just simply a feeling. It is truly a decision that we make to love that other person. Hey, I get it. The butterflies and the rockets going off, and it's a starlit moonlit night, and everything's wonderful, and it's kind of like paradise. But is that going to carry you through the stormy times that you guys will go through? That's what you need to look at. And so we need to understand what love is. A successful marriage needs two people who have decided on their own to love the other person. It's a decision that I have made. You've not manipulated me. I've not manipulated you. I have decided that you are the one that I'm going to love above all others, and I'm not going to let anything else affect that. I love you. Okay? So love is the second one. The third part of this foundation, and I think this kind of dovetails on love, and that is trust. Trust. Trust has two parts to it, I think. Trust, if I'm going to trust you, I need to know something about your character. Character is who you are when nobody's looking. Okay? Who you are when nobody's looking. See, it's easy to be the wonderful, jumping for joy kind of believer in church, but it's what you do outside, right? It's what you do outside. It's one thing to be a wonderful, loving kind of person in public, but not so much so, when we're alone. So trusting someone is about their character, who they are when nobody's looking. A second part of that is integrity. Trust has to do with the other person's integrity. I define integrity as, will this person do what they say they will do every time they say they will do it, if at all possible? Will this person do what they say they will do every time they say they will do it, if at all possible? Now, if there's one thing, they may do 10 things, 9 things that they're going to do what they say they will do. That one time that they don't is when that trust kind of starts wavering a little bit. I can't make you trust me. See, trust takes almost a lifetime to build. It takes but one moment to destroy. It's something that's gained and increased over time, so that based upon what you say, what the other person says, and what they do, I am able to trust them. It's not automatic. Trust is not automatic. It takes time, and yet just a moment to lose that trust. That's why I have found over the years, that's why when someone in the relationship has an affair, that it's so devastating. See, it's not really so much about going outside the marriage, and although that's important, it's not so much about the sex with the other person. It's not so much about it's about, you deceived me. You broke my trust in you, integrity and character. Now that all comes into question. Now that doesn't mean that my trust can't be regained, but you're going to have to work toward that. Trusting someone, it's a process. It's not just simply, you did that yesterday, I forgive you and I'll trust you. No. Sometimes, if we're not careful, we will trust too much too quick. Too much too quick. Hey, we can all kind of wine and dine each other, right? I mean, we can all kind of talk the smooth talk and figure out what the other person needs to hear, but it's a whole nother thing to earn that trust. So there's an effort that must be made to honor each other in trustworthy actions. See, actions really do speak louder than words when it comes to trust. Number 4, and this is something I run into a lot, and that is open and honest communication. Now, let me start out with saying this. A person cannot not communicate. A person cannot not communicate. So some couples will come into my office and say, well, we're just not communicating. Well, yes, you are. You may be yelling and screaming, or you may be totally silent, but you're communicating something. Open and honest communication should be an expectation of both people in the relationship. Husbands and wives need to learn the art, and I believe it is an art, of speaking each other's language. There was a book written some time ago. It's called The 5 Love Languages, and it basically just simply says we need to learn the other's language so that we can speak that language and they can speak our language, and the communications. Now, is there going to be times where I misunderstand you, you misunderstand me? Well, sure. I mean, we're all going to blow it sometimes. Sure. We're all going to miscommunicate sometimes. That just happens. But many times, have you ever tried to tune in your radio and you get nothing but static? Or maybe the voice in the radio is just really faint, but it's mostly static. Well, sometimes that's like what communication is between two people in a relationship. We must learn to not only speak in communication, but we must also learn to listen. We have 2 of these, 1 of these. 2 of these, 1 of these. And so we need to listen twice as much as we need to talk. Sometimes what needs to happen is for the other person is we need to just listen to them. That's all they need. All they need is for us to listen. 2 needs that all of us have across the board. 2 needs. We need to be heard and understood. Heard and understood. If those 2 things are operating, and I feel like, now you may totally disagree with me on whatever, you may totally disagree with me, and that's fine, but at least you heard me, and at least you understood my perspective. Now, once that happens, then communication is going to flow kind of freely, okay? But we need to be heard and understood. So open and honest communication is a necessity. Because see, if you think about it, if we have open and honest communication, I'm going to be able to trust you, and because I can trust you because I love you. See how all of that works in? Okay, number 5. And this is one that I deal with quite a bit, and that is family commitment. Family commitment. Man, do we ever live in a hurry up, busy kind of world? I've been talking with couples, and they tell me, almost every couple that I see tells me how busy they are. They're just busy. They're working. Both of them are working, and they're trying to keep up, with their financial responsibilities and stuff around the house, and taking the kids here and taking the kids there. It's just busy. So whether children are a part of your marriage relationship or not, you are still a family. And when the 2 of you, if you're married or if you're going to be married, you said those vows, right? I promise to love, honor, trust, and serve you in sickness and health and diversity, and to forsake all others, cleave only to you. Forsaking all others. I put this relationship, I put this family above everything else. I can have my hobbies, I can have my interests, I can go hunting with the guys, I can go fishing with the guys, I can go out with the girls, but this marriage relationship takes priority. Because if it doesn't, then the other feels like, well, I don't really matter to you. You could care less. It's kind of like some people identify their relationship. We just live in the same house. We're friends with benefits. Okay, we're business partners. We're roommates with benefits. Commitment to a family is a must. It's a must. And remember now, if you have children, they're watching. Okay, they're watching. And if they see mom gone all the time, or they see dad gone all the time, and they're wondering, where does mom and dad, where does all that fit in? Where does dad never spends time with us, or mom never spends time with us? Where's the and so they grow up, and I call it ain't nothing but a family thing. That's what they will continue to do in their relationships. Your commitment needs to be with your family. It doesn't mean that you can't have hobbies and do your thing. But it does mean that I choose, if it comes between this and my family, I choose family every time. If it comes between work and family, I choose family every single time. Family commitment is a must. And finally, and I saved this one to last for a good reason, and that is we need a greater source. We need a greater source. Living in the same house, two people living in the same house under the same roof with different temperaments, different perspectives, different upbringings is hard. It's hard to carve out a relationship in that. So we need someone that knows us better than we know ourselves. And so relying on that greater source, and the greater source I'm referring to here is God, relying upon God infuses that power and that strength beyond what we are capable of infusing. It gives us strength to endure the hard times. Because, see, we made the commitment, and we made that commitment not only to each other, but we made a commitment before God. If you got married in front of a preacher, that preacher said, we are gathered here in the presence of this assembly and God. Okay? So this marriage, again, and it goes back to all the things that I've talked about before, we need someone to help us navigate through all of the stuff. And I know, if you've been married less than a year or just a year, everything is fine and wonderful and great, but trust me, the hard times are going to come. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know what it's going to be made up of, but hard times are going to come. Testing time will come for your commitment to this relationship. And if you don't have a firm foundation, then that house, your home, if you will, is going to crumble. I want to encourage you to get God involved in your marriage. You ask Him to bless it on your wedding day. What's happened to that? Oftentimes when I see marital conflict, marital problems, it's because the persons in that relationship have forgotten the vows, and they have forgotten who they promised the vows to, not only to each other, but to God. They have forgotten that God has blessed their marriage, and they've just kind of gotten off track. Listen, get God involved in your marriage by continuing to grow in the knowledge of Him and faith in Him. I often show my clients this triangle, and God's up here at the top, and each one of us are here at the side, and as the husband is growing closer to God, and the wife is growing closer to God, look what's happening. They're growing closer together. If you leave God out of your marriage, you might have a good marriage, but you're not going to have the best marriage you can have. I want you to hear that again. If you leave God out of your marriage, that's your choice. That's okay. You can do that, and you'll have a good marriage. There are many good marriages out there that they don't go to church, they don't have anything to do with God, but they're good marriages, but it's not the best marriage that they could have. I want you to have the best marriage that you can possibly have, and that is through looking to a greater source than ourselves. There's some times that we don't know how to figure things out. We're at a stalemate, and yeah, we seek out counseling, but we need a greater source even than that to help with our marriage to be fruitful, to be healthy, and to be moving forward. Now, let me just take a couple of minutes to sum all this up. With two people from two different backgrounds, two different personalities, two different viewpoints, two different upbringings, two different temperaments unite together under one roof, there are bound to be some difficulties. It's just going to happen. Okay, somebody that says, "Well, we never argue. Okay, number one, you're either lying, or number two, you guys don't live together. Okay, there's going to be difficulties, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be arguing, feuding, fussing, and fighting. It may be financial. It may be through loss. It may be through a lot of different things. But difficult times are going to happen. As with any building structure, the stronger the foundation, the stronger the structure will be. So that when those winds blow and the rains come and the storms come, that it will stand solid because of the firm foundation. How about you guys? How about you? What kind of foundation do you? I don't care if you've been married 6 months or 6 years or 20 years or 30 years. What kind of foundation do you have to get through the hard times? It's great when things are going fine. It's great when all the bills are paid. It's great when everybody's healthy. But what about when the difficult times come? What kind of foundation do you have? Are you trusting each other? Are you really loving each other? I've given you several things today to think about, and I hope that you will talk about this with that special someone of yours, whether it's a husband, a wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever it is, that you'll talk about that with them. I hope that you will share this podcast. Maybe you guys, that you're listening to this, maybe you guys are doing just fine. That's great, but I bet you know somebody that's not. I'll bet you know somebody that's teetering on whether to divorce or not, whether to split up or not. Share this with them. Go back and maybe even sit down and watch it with them and discuss it with one another. There's a lot of things that you can do with regard to this. So I want you to have a firm foundation for your marriage relationship, going farther, loving each other, committing to one another, trusting one another, building one another up, and you will have a fruitful, wonderful, blessed marriage. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Lifeline for Daily Living. If something I have said today has raised a question or a concern, I'd like for you to get in contact with me. We can talk a little bit. My phone number is 573-732-4575. Again, 573-732-4575. You can also email me. My email address is lifelineonline@hotmail.com. Again, lifelineonline@hotmail.com. A third way, whether you're watching this on Facebook or whether you're watching this on YouTube, you can private message me. I will return just as soon as I can. I'll get back with you. I'll answer any question that you have. I'll set up an appointment with you. Whatever you need, I want you to have a wonderful relationship with your spouse, with your boyfriend and girlfriend. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you right here next time on Lifeline for Daily Living.